Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. My name is Laura Gutiérrez. I welcome you to this session. I will be presenting to you information on 4 different programs that the Illinois Department of Children and Family Services offer. These programs are available to youth who are currently and former youth in foster care in the state of Illinois. Feel free to share your questions. I cannot see the questions directly, but we will go through them towards the end of this session. Give me 1 second. Okay, here we go. So I will be talking to you about the 4 different post-secondary education programs, like I said, and I will be providing to you the contact information so that it's easier for you or your clients to reach out to us. The programs that I'm going to start with will be the DCFS scholarship program. Then we have also the Youth in College Vocational Training Program. Our third program is the tuition and fee waiver. And last but not least is the federal program called Education and Training Voucher. I will begin with the DCFS scholarship because we currently have this session open for the DCFS scholarship application for this academic year or the one that is coming up. So I want to start with this program first. So this program is very competitive scholarship. Every year we get a lot of scholarship applicants. By law, the department is required to provide a minimum of 53 scholarships. However, the maximum amount, it will vary based on different factors. But as far as we know, we are required to do at least 53 each year. What are the benefits from the scholarship program? Well, our participants will get $1,500 every month. They can use these monies to pay for the room and board. If they're going to any of the public universities in the state of Illinois, they can use this money to pay any of the tuition fees or any outstanding balance if they go to private school in state or out of state. And for our traditional students who decide to go through community college, many times they use this funding to pay for room and board or the rent or any other expenses they might have. Once the student wins the scholarship is good for 5 consecutive years, so they don't have to reapply as long as they meet program requirements. Besides the $1,500 every month, they also get a one-time startup payment. Starting last year, the startup payment was increased from $236 to $1,000. We do have students who are, like I said, currently in foster care, adopted, guardianship, and for some of the adopted and guardianship students, their medical benefits end around 18, 19 years old. So through the package from the DCFS scholarship program, they can also reactivate their medical benefits. Besides the money portion of the scholarship, they also have a book voucher. So if the student goes to any of the 12 public universities or community colleges in the state of Illinois, we also have partnerships with the private universities, bookstores. We will send a book voucher letter to them authorizing for the transaction of those expenses, and then we will pay the bookstores directly for books and supplies. If the student goes out of state and the bookstore doesn't want to work with us, then the student has to pay upfront for the books and supplies. They submit receipts to us, and then we will reimburse them. So this is another benefit from the scholarship. But the biggest one that we have is the tuition and mandatory fee waiver. So this waiver is a mandated state law, and it mainly applies to public universities and community colleges in the state of Illinois. So we do have scholarship recipients, like I said, that decide to go out of state or to private institutions in state, and that's totally fine. They will get the benefits that I just mentioned, but when it comes to the tuition waiver portion, it can only be applied to community colleges and public universities. This is something that we kind of highlight to the students so that they understand before they make their final decision when it comes to choosing what institution they will be attending. what are the requirements to keep the DCFS scholarship? We don't have a lot of strict requirements. It's very straightforward. So they are required to maintain AC average or 2.0. We go by the term, so we don't go by the overall GPA. So we need a 2.0 every semester or every quarter or every term, depending the format for their institution. Besides the GPA, we require full-time status. So for fall and spring, we require 12 credit hours, and for summer, we require 6 credit hours. In some scenarios, we have students who participate in internship programs during the summer, so they will need to send us the paperwork from the internship so that we can determine if it meets the requirements for our program so that they can stay also getting their benefits without having to take summer classes. And we do have some participants that opt to take the 6 credit hours and do their internship, but we always give them the option of one or the other. There might be scenarios where there are extenuating circumstances. We always emphasize the students to communicate with us and we will work with them. It will be better that we find out while the scenario is happening than towards the end of the semester when we get the grades. We do run the National Student Clearinghouse to check enrollment verification. So this is why we also encourage the students to we build that relationship with us up front so that we know what's going on instead of just finding out through the clearinghouse if they are enrolled or not. The requirement also comes with they have to submit their schedule of classes every semester. So we do have our students who are very proactive, and as soon as they register for the next term, they start submitting their schedules. But we do send out email reminders all the way to the first day of classes to ensure that they continue to get their benefits and there is no disruption. They also need to submit their final grades at the end of the semester once grades post so that we can continue to see that they're making progress towards graduating and achieving that degree. If there is any specific things that they have to do, like if they relocate, they need to change addresses, phone numbers, emails, we always encourage them to reach out to us. We always want to make sure that if they do not opt to get their checks via the regular direct deposit, we always want to make sure we have their most up-to-date address to avoid any checks being missed on the mail. Now, for like I mentioned a few minutes ago, the application period is currently open. The deadline is March 31st, so I shared the link in here. We only accept the complete application, so for us, the complete application will come with a personal statement. We encourage them to do at least 2 pages. We also ask them to do their transcripts. If they're in high school right now, we ask them to do their transcript where it includes their 7th semester grade or first semester of senior year. If they are already in college, we encourage them to submit both the high school and the college transcript. We will always take into consideration the highest GPA. And besides those documents, we also need them to get 3 letters of recommendation. We encourage them not to get letters from family or close friends. We want them from people that they have had experience, like teachers, their caseworkers, their attorneys or GALs, their pastors, any extracurricular activities, and employment, because a lot of our young people who are in foster care, they don't have access or they're not as active in extracurricular activities, so the employer reference is also very important. And then last but not least, we encourage them to submit proof that they have some type of connection with the Illinois Department of Children and Family Services. So if they are currently in foster care, their caseworker can type a letter just confirming their status. But if they were adopted or guardianship, we will need some type of paperwork showing that those 2 placements were done through Illinois DCFS. The programs itself, they don't work for students who are from another foster care system outside of Illinois. It doesn't work for students who were adopted guardianship via private court, and it doesn't work for students who were adopted internationally. Students who were in foster care, but they were returned back to their biological parents. are not eligible to apply for this scholarship either. When would they be notified? We will notify them a couple of days before May 1st. We understand May 1st is decision day for all the institutions, so we try to let them know at least 2 days before so they can make their final selection. I'm going to move now to another program, and this is the Youth in College Vocational Training Program. You will see some similarities with this program versus what I just mentioned about the scholarship program, but this particular program is only available to youth who are currently in foster care, and those who will be emancipating from the department at age 21. So if we always encourage our youth in care to apply for the scholarship, but if they don't win the scholarship package, this is our plan B. Or if the scholarship application period is closed, then we can do this program until they wait for the following year to apply for the scholarship. It does have the same $1,500 like the scholarship recipients. Once they apply for this program, it's good for 5 consecutive years. However, if they win, if they graduate with their bachelor's degree in 4 years or 4.5, then the program benefits at the end of that semester when they graduated. And this part in here that says about they can stay through the age of 25, we do have some of our young people who come to the program exactly on their 21st birthday. So from 21st through their 25th year, it will give them the 5 year of benefits from the program. But if we do have a traditional high school student who graduates at 18, 19 years old, they will only stay for the 5 years. They cannot stay until 25. Same thing like with the scholarship. They also get a book voucher, or we can reimburse them for the books if they are going out of state. They do get a one-time startup payment, but unlike the scholarship program that they get $1,000, currently the Youth in College only gives $236 as a one-time startup payment. And this is mainly used for them in case they need to buy any last-minute expenses or items, excuse me, if they have to move to campus, or sometimes they can use it for, at their discretion. We don't need to have receipts for them to show us how they use these monies. And then here on the monthly payment, you just see the breakdown as to what is the expectation that these monies would have helped them with. Now for this program, for the Youth in College, just like the scholarship, they require that 2.0 term GPA, and they require to maintain full-time status. The way that they apply, it will need to be through working with their caseworker. The caseworker and their supervisor have to sign the application confirming that they are in agreement with proceeding to apply for this program. Internally, this is a move from one placement to another, so this is why we require the caseworker and the supervisor to agree to before we can do any movement. We do encourage the students again to submit the grades and schedule. We do remind them, we understand life gets busy, finals gets busy, and they might forget. So we do send email reminders, but we do have most of our students who are very proactive, and we encourage them to communicate with us as well, especially when there are scenarios happening. A lot of our young people don't say anything about having learning disabilities, and sometimes we don't find out because they do keep their caseworker and they manage all that portion of their case. So sometimes we don't find out until it's the middle of the semester that they might have a learning disability. So that's when we encourage them to come forward and disclose this to the disability office at their institution. So trying to build up that relationship with them when they first start the program is very important, so they can start trusting us and reaching out to us. I hope I'm not confusing you guys so far. So like I said, one of the programs is you need to apply and win the scholarship. The other program, you need to be in care to apply for it. But now I'm going to move to the Education and Training Voucher Program. This is a federal program, so it is available in all states. We do have sometimes students who come from other states, and believe it or not, like California runs out of monies from ETV funding very fast. So sometimes we have students from the California foster care system attending school in Illinois, and sometimes we do need to approve funding through Illinois ETV, but this is the only one that they can access. And it is just for that period of time until they wait to apply through their home state. So this program, the education and training voucher, is available to youth who are currently in foster care, to youth who age out of care, and we do have some who emancipate at 18, but the majority age out until 21. If the youth also went into guardianship or adoption at age 16 or older, they also qualify to apply for the ATV program. But they need to show proof that the guardianship and adoption was through any of the foster care system. They offer up to $5,000 per academic year. So we do take into consideration their cost of attendance. If the priority is mainly for tuition and fees, that will be the priority to cover or release the funding. So we do split the fundings into $2,500 for fall, $2,500 for spring. If they are planning on going for summer school, they need to let us know so we can budget ourselves for the 3 semesters. But the majority only go for the 2 traditional ones. So what do they cover? How do we use ETV funding? I always try to present this program with scenarios because it's easier to understand. So we can use ETV funding. If they go to private school, it will go towards tuition and fees. So the entire $2,500 goes for that. If they go to public universities in Illinois, we need to take into consideration their board payments from either the scholarship or the youth in college. We also need to take into consideration their waiver from the scholarship. And then from there, we will determine how much money ETV can approve. ETV cannot exceed cost of attendance or the projected financial aid that they already have. So when they go to public universities, they will not access the full amount in some scenarios that go directly to the institution. In some scenarios, for students who go through public universities, we can use funding like transportation for them, or we can use monies for any other fees that were not covered with financial aid. For students who go to community colleges, some of them tend to go for specific certificate programs like welding, automotive technology, cosmetology. They have the very expensive tools, so we can pay for that. And then as needed be, we always take this program as, each student is a different case, and that's how we can determine how much money we're going to give them. Students can apply for this program for 5 years. It doesn't need to be consecutive. We do have students that come to school and then they don't feel like they are ready for it, and then they take a break and then they can come back. What we ask them is that they need to come back before the age of 26. Once the age of 26 is here, they can no longer apply for ETV funding. They are expected to meet satisfactory academic progress and stay on top of their grades so that they can continue to access this program. In some scenarios, we do have it where if the student needs a computer, we can pay for the computer package through ETV funding. However, we need to emphasize to them, your computer is going to come out of the $5,000. So it's not $5,000 and a computer. So that's where we need to determine, what is your need? What is the priority for you? We do encourage students to attend accredited institutions. ETV does require, students to attend accredited institutions. So we go by, I put the link in here. This is from the U.S. Department of Education school accreditation website. So we just tell them, go ahead and input the name of your school. If nothing comes up, your school is not accredited, or they're not, getting Title IV funding, so they wouldn't be eligible for ETV funding. Give me 1 second. How do they apply for ETV? Well, in the last 3 or 4 years, we have finally launched an ETV application online. So this is the website. It's pretty straightforward. The application is expected to be submitted when they are returning students. We do have the deadline of August 1st. So we do also let them know, like, start applying for your ETV for next year. But when there are students who are applying for the first time, we have more flexibility in our deadline, because we understand some students might start school until the spring and they're not aware that they were supposed to submit their application back in August. So when they're initial applications, we will accept them, but when they're renewal applications, we encourage them to submit them before the deadline. They need to submit paperwork with this. So for ETV, besides the filling out the sections, they require to have a copy of their financial aid award letter for the year that they're applying, and they are required to submit a schedule of classes. If they are returning students, they also need to submit their grades from the previous semester, and then they can go ahead and submit it. It will be reviewed. The caseworker, if they're in care, and the student and the university or college will be notified, get an official letter letting them know that they have been approved for this additional funding. And my last program, I hope I'm not going too fast and I'm not getting too confusing. My last program is the tuition and fee waiver. This program was approved or launched back in 2019. So it is very similar to the DCFS scholarship tuition waiver. However, back then we only had that waiver, and this one mirrors that waiver from the scholarship. So it is open to students who are attending public universities and community colleges in the state of Illinois. They also had to show proof that they are in care, that they were adopted or guardianship through Illinois foster care system. So we do have students who might be adopted guardianship and they don't want to go full-time. They just feel like part-time is for them and they don't want to apply for the scholarship. This is another program they can access where they only get a standalone waiver, but at least they get covered their tuitions and mandatory fees. Then they're responsible for covering their housing, covering their books, and any non-mandatory fees. The application is very simple. It's a one-page application they need to submit for the semester that they're applying for, and it needs to come with a schedule of classes so that we can then release the waiver to the institution. This is also good for 5 years. However, they need to access this waiver before the age of 26. We do have lately students who are beyond the age of 26, and unfortunately, the cutoff age is 26 for this program. All of our applicants are required to file a FAFSA unless they are undocumented. If they are undocumented, we do encourage them to do the RISE Act application, but for everybody who's U.S. citizen, legal permanent, and meet all the other legal status, they are expected to file a FAFSA. The colleges will also let us know if they don't have a FAFSA on file, because they will not honor the waivers unless they have something on file from the student. We put this nice chart for you guys to make things easier. I know that sometimes the programs can be like too much wording and it's hard to remember everything, but basically it gives you an overview. So let me move my photo from here. It shows you the different type of placements, like if they are in foster care right now, they could be with their foster parent and independent living in a group home, different placements like that. They will qualify for all the programs. This is another one that I didn't mention, but the DCFS does have an employment incentive program that the students who are in care, they can access. And then it shows you, if you graduated, if you went into guardianship of adoption at age 16 or older, this is what you qualify for. And it starts going down as they, their placements change. We do have scenarios where the child gets adopted at age 13 or younger, and then, sometimes the parents are not given the accurate information at the time of adoption, and then, they have to realize once they meet with us that they are only limited to maybe two benefits of the programs, but that's how all the benefits were designed at the time when they started them. Students who are in foster care, but they are returned home to their biological parents, they are not eligible for any of the DCFS programs. We always encourage them to reach out to their institutions through their scholarship offices. We always encourage them to check the ISAC website on the Parents Students Portal so that they can access other benefits as well. So I will highly recommend you, if you have any clients, print this slide and use it for your tip sheet so that it's easier for you to guide the students. But don't hesitate to reach out. Oh, give me 1 second. Okay, here you go. Don't hesitate to reach out to us. We do have, all the time, these institutions will reach out to us and ask us, can you confirm if this student can access any type of benefits through DCFS? And we're always happy to confirm, yes or no, or yes, these are the programs they can qualify based on what we're seeing in their last placement. So we do have mailboxes where you guys can reach out to us. Right now for the scholarship system, we do have the scholarship mailbox. We have a specific for the tuition and fee waiver because that's where the applications go for that program. And we do have our ETV mailbox for our ETV coordinator, and any other general Q&A or questions that they might have, they can come to the regular post-secondary mailbox. If they want more direct or faster service, they can also come to us directly. So Nashawn Avery is our ETV coordinator, and she's currently running the tuition and fee waiver program. Myself, I'm currently overseeing the DCFS scholarship program. My colleague, Suzanne McGuire, has taken over the youth in college program, and Jamie Bramlett is our supervisor. If you're looking for any other general resources, this is the link. You will have access to this PowerPoint. So this is the link where you can go into the DCFS more direct section of the post-secondary information so that you can get details, access to the tip sheets for each of the programs, and you can also reach out to us from there. And with that, I'm gonna open the floor for any questions that you might have.
Please use the Q&A tab for the questions so we could filter those out specifically. Oh, there is one. Does a student need to complete a FAFSA if they completed their bachelor's and would not be eligible for Title IV financial aid?
Excellent question. Yes, you always want to submit a FAFSA, especially like if you will be applying for the DCFS scholarship or the tuition and fee waiver. But not only for that, you might also be eligible for other questions, I'm sorry, questions, no, for other financial aid through like fellowships and other, scholarships through the institution. So just because you might not qualify for Illinois MAP or federal Pell Grant, it doesn't mean that you don't want to apply for FAFSA. We always encourage them to do that. Excellent question.
We have another one in the Q&A regarding FERPA. Are we allowed to disclose information to DCFS workers, or do we still need a release of information for them?
Excellent question. Yeah, you will need to have a release of information signed by the student. Usually when it comes to financial aid staff, there is some leniency or some little room, but not much. So sometimes I can reach out to them too for certain limited information, but when it's more detailed, then they do require consent for release of information as well. And sometimes what they do is, if they know the student, they can include the student in the email when they email us and say, hey, I'm including the student, they give me permission. And then the student can also reply and say, yeah, I agree to give them permission to reach out for confirmation of benefits. And then we can go ahead and start the communication, because the student is being involved as well. Any other questions, concerns? We definitely want you to help us, spread the word on the DCFS scholarship program. It is the biggest package that the department offers, so we do want the students to take the most advantage. We do have students at the scholarship program that are going for master's programs. Youth in college doesn't allow for that, so that's another way for us to encourage our young people to go ahead and come back and apply. There's scenarios where you might have clients that they're not even aware that these programs exist. As much as we try to promote them, they might not be able to. So we do rely a lot on the staff from financial aid and even staff from the bursar or business office. We network with some of them, and they're very good at asking us, like, can you please check if this student has any type of connection with DCFS? And then when we check, we can quickly tell them, like, yes, tell them to apply to this, this, and this, and then it gets the student the services that they need. So we need to be that village, all together to help the student access the benefits as much as they can.
We have a few more questions in the Q&A. The first one is to clarify, students who are in guardianship but are over the age of 26 are eligible for tuition?
When it comes to the tuition and fee waiver program, it does have an age cap. And that's in the law that governs the tuition and fee waiver and the DCFS scholarship. So we do need the students, if they are guardianship or adoption, to come and apply before those ages. The only exceptions that I would say that it will be for students to go beyond the age of 26 is for those who are in the military. But if you're just a regular civilian, then yeah, we do need you, or we want you to apply before the age of 26 to access that tuition and fee waiver. For the scholarship program, it doesn't have an age, limit. So you can still come and apply, because you can still get the board payment. You can still get the book voucher. Youth in college does have an age limit, which is 21, because that's when you are emancipating from foster care. So if you want to access that program, you need to come on your 21st birthday as the latest. And ETV funding, federal government also has the age of 26 as cutoff. So yeah, we do have, so far the scholarship is the only one that doesn't have an age limit right now.
Okay, thank you for that. And then the other question is, do you offer flyers that can be given away to students, that can be passed out to students?
Yes, and I'll send Olivia the tip sheets as well with the PowerPoint, so that she can make it accessible for you guys. But if you go to the let me go back. Oops, sorry. If once you have this website, if you go to this link, here it is. You will have the updated tip sheets in there. Or if you have any questions, you can just send me an email and say, Laura, can you send me the tip sheets, or are they updated? Every so many years we will update them, but right now they're the most up to date. But yeah, we have flyers that you can give your clients. And then if you're not sure, you can always just have them contact us. I know that sometimes our young people are kind of hesitant, because we're new people, and especially our youth in care, they don't trust us. It takes a while to trust us, but then they realize that with the constant rotation of caseworkers, that we become the most stable name that they see, and then they start opening up, knowing that, okay, we can reach out to them if something happens, and sometimes they're like, you become like my auntie, you know. So it's always rewarding when you hear like that. They feel the support. But yeah, don't hesitate to reach out. And then here is the website. I'm putting the mouse over where you can access those tip sheets as well. Any other questions?
Yes, there's another one. If the student enrolls as full-time but drops the course, does the university need to notify DCFS that the student dropped a course?
Yeah, I mean, we do find out through the student itself. So sometimes they will reach out to us because they know that being full-time is key for them to keep in their $1,500. So if they come up front and they let us know, then sometimes we will first is encourage them check with your financial aid and your academic advisors that you will be dropping within the allowed time, that financial aid will not be reverted and you will be affected with having to pay for the class. I know some financial aid offices will not only revert the traditional financial aid, but sometimes they revert the waivers. So before they even jump into dropping the class, we ask them to confirm that it won't be something that it will be a financial hardship to them. And then once they have that all clear out, if we know the extenuating circumstances or the reason why, then we will work with them. If it's something that is medical related, or maybe they're going through some mental health, if they can show that they're working on themselves, seeking therapy and things like that, we will work with them and make one exception here or there. But majority of the time, the first thing will be to reach out, and yeah, I mean, sometimes we will find out after the fact when we run the clearinghouse. But if the university knows ahead of us, or if the student didn't tell us, we are totally fine if they notify us. We have had, I know, at NIU, I have a colleague there that she will reach out even when the professors are giving her those little flags about the student, and then they reach out and say, I can't disclose much, but can you please reach out on this student, find out what's going on, and then we can target it from different angles and help the student get the resources they need, either through the university or through DCFS or the off-campus resources, so that they can, hopefully stay full-time and continue to meet the requirements for their SAP requirements and for their scholarship or the other DCFS programs. Excellent question. Any other questions?
I don't see any other questions in the Q&A, but I do have a question.
Yeah.
You mentioned the alternative app through the RISE Act for students who are in care who are undocumented. Do they only qualify for DCFS specific scholarship? Does that mean that they don't qualify for the federal scholarship that was the ETV? Is that correct?
Correct. The ETV, they wouldn't qualify for that. But they do qualify for the tuition and fee waiver. They qualify for the scholarship program. And if they're in care, they qualify for youth in college. It's just right now the ETV funding, they don't qualify for it. ETV is kind of similar to Pell Grant, so we just don't want them to also get in trouble. But yeah, we know that they cannot access ETV. And we're always trying to encourage them, maybe start at community college level, um, get all your general education requirements out of the way. So that way they can use their board payments to pay for their housing. Then they can, we pay with the waivers for their tuition and fees. We pay for their books with the book voucher. And then maybe start, as you get your habits with transitioning and doing all your, schooling, then get your part-time job, start transitioning for when you need to transfer to the 4-year school, then you're able to, handle it in case you need to put more money from your board payment into paying other costs at the 4-year university. Now, I do want to mention something, and let me know if I'm running out of time, Olivia. we do have students who are in the scholarship program who might want to go and study abroad. So, like if they are in care or if they do qualify for ETV funding because they were adopted at age 16 or older, sometimes we can combine the programs. So, if you're a scholarship recipient and you want to go and study abroad, you can access ETV funding too. So, it will not pay the full, trip, like you're still responsible for your airfare, your passport, insurance, international medical insurance, things like that. But there's some specific fees that are considered mandatory for everybody who's doing study abroad at your institution. So then we can use ETV funding to help the student bring that cost down. When it comes to a student who's in youth in college, we can have them apply for the tuition and fee waiver program, and then we can have them apply for ETV so they can combine those three programs and then get the benefits. So it's almost as if they had the scholarship plus ETV when it comes to youth in college. So we always try not just to get them to one program, but what other programs can you benefit from? Are there any other questions, any concerns, any clients that you have probably come across that you might have any scenarios you want to share? And
I
I
don't see
saw,
any questions. We have like 9 minutes to go, just so you know. But I do have a question. This is just me. It's not through the Q&A. Do you all put together like trunk parties or collect, like for Christmas, sometimes people put together gifts for this for students that may be in care so that they have a gift. Do you do something in the spring so that there's people that can donate school supplies, backpack, computers, any number of things that they may be able to need, along with maybe a general list of resources for them to reach out to their local thrift store on campus or nearby, or a food pantry, or a nonprofit that helps with tutoring or with other services? Because I'm thinking generally all students, once they transition from high school to college, it's a whole new uh, a whole new life in terms of them transitioning to developing their brain further and being adults and responsibilities and things like that. I think youth in care always have that, and they've kind of been thrusted into working and doing things a little bit more independently, but still we all as human beings need additional support. And so I have that question in regards to that transition and resources.
excellent question. And you brought back memories from a few years ago. Um, we used to we used to have care packages sent out every so often, but the staff retired, and there has been a lot of transition internally. So that's something I'm actually bringing back to our deputy and say, hey, back in the day we had this. But usually, what happens is with the young people, like if they're with a foster parent or a homo relative placement, they tend to organize trunk parties for them. I know at some point the Rainbow Push Coalition used to give DCFS several trunk party, not trunks to give to the students, but it has been a few years since that. I do know that we recently launched, in partnership with Foster Progress, the Youth in Care on Campus program. I believe they've also presented today. So that will be another way, to bring it to them. Maybe they want to take over this. But unfortunately, in the last few years, I haven't heard that the care packages continue since that staff retired. But that's an excellent, you just open a core memory. But that's something that I'll definitely bring it up to the higher up administrators. Now, I do want to mention something before we go. If we have staff who are in high school, definitely get the help from your ISA Corps members. They're my go-to when I don't have the time to meet one-on-one with my clients. I always refer them to ISA Corps because they're also trained on how to help our young people how to file a FAFSA. They don't do the traditional FAFSA like your regular students with parents that have income. And I just remember that because at the beginning of the session, I saw one of my former high school students who say hi. And brought me back when I worked at the high school that I didn't know about foster care, and I didn't know how to help this student who told me about that she lived with grandma, and I didn't know how to fill out the FAFSA for her. And the year that she graduated is the year I left the high school and came to this program. And then I realized that we met again, and that she was in foster care. So I always try to encourage high school counselors to also, if you don't know how to fill it out, reach out to Isaac, reach out to us, so that it doesn't happen what it happened to me, that I was not educated to know that, foster care existed. And I'm talking probably like 19, 20 years ago, okay? It's not that recent. But that also happens that, the youth are not willing to disclose that they're in foster care, and then we just assume, well, I just live with my grandmother, I live with my auntie, but it's like we don't realize that could this be that you're in foster care. So just be mindful of that you could potentially have a student that doesn't want to disclose that to you, but you can always, refer them to Isaac Corps, or give them the contact information for us, and we'll make the time to also help them out. Any additional questions? Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate, I know it's after lunch, so I really appreciate, I can't see how many of you are here, but I really am grateful that you're here and you took the time to learn about these programs, and know that we can be here for you as a resource as well. And don't hesitate to reach out regardless of the question, how you feel about it. We want you to feel that you have us as a resource, and we're not hiding. We just we're here to help you, and feel free to share it with anybody that you might think that they need. We're here for you guys. Okay.
Thank you, Laura. There was one person, Brenda High, that shared that Jesse White has a trunk party scholarship.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. I will definitely be also adding that when I notify my deputy, so that, we do have a lot. The majority of our students go to Illinois State. Then second place is U of I Urbana in the Northern. So I'll definitely share, so that hopefully we can get more young people to get assisted as well. But thank you so much for sharing that resource. And feel free to share the resources that you know on the chat, so that, or other colleagues and even ourselves get a little bit more educated into getting to those benefits as well. But thank you so much. Thank you, Olivia, for inviting us, and giving us this window of time to share our programs with everybody.
Thank you, Laura. I did share your email address in the chat. I did share the list that you had on how to access the resources on the DCFS website, and I share the link for anyone that may be interested in having an Isaac Corps member with the booking site, both in English and Spanish, so that people have that resource. And we will be sharing out both the video and the PowerPoint presentation at a later date.
Thank you. Thank you.